You might have missed the news that Hubbard is confirmed as the first transgender athlete to compete at the Olympic Games in Tokyo in July. Hubbard is 43, transitioned in 2013, and is in New Zealand's women's super heavyweight class.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today I got a different video for you. It's about a very interesting article, something that's happening in the Olympics. I can't even believe this is happening, but I'm gonna point out a few things and why it's extremely unfair. Trans weightlifter Laurel Hubbard set to make history at Tokyo Games, well, Olympic or something like that. History and controversy is expected to be made at the Tokyo Olympic this summer after the transgender weightlifter Laurel Hubbard was effectively guaranteed a place in the women's super heavyweight category. While the 43 years old has not yet been named in the New Zealand team, International Weightlifting Federation insider confirmed that the Guardian that she would automatically qualify because of amended rules approved by the international bada bing bada boom. Insider said that while the teams did not have to be named until the 5th, mumbo jumbo, it means Hubbard, who won silver at the 2017 championship, was 6th after a severe injury in 2019. Is almost certain to become the first transgender athlete to compete at an Olympics. And while she will be the oldest weightlifter at the games, she's freaking 40. She will also have a genuine chance of medal, giving her qualifying lift rank her 4th out of the 14 qualifiers in the 87 kilo plus superweight category of Tokyo. Pardon my English, I get nervous sometimes and sometimes I talk dyslexic.
It seems that people often forget about the women who are being pushed out of their own sports to accommodate this new social emphasis and shift. On social media, the image of a young female lifter started making the rounds, claiming that this is the woman who would have made it to her first Olympics were it not for Hubbard. Well, it certainly appears that way from documentation like this, but regardless, the fact remains that if it isn't this 21-year-old weightlifter losing out, it is certainly someone else.
However, her selection will sharply divide opinion about those who see it as an enormous step forward for trans athletes and others who insist the benefits from an unfair advantage. Under IOC guideline issued in 2015, athletes who transition from male to female can compete in the women's category without requiring surgery. I don't care if you still have it, you can do it. But to remove their testes, okay, provided their total oh, wait a second. Oh yeah, your balls are still gonna give you some testosterone. Yeah, I totally forgot to count that one. Extra research.
Hubbard first debuted in the female category in 2017 and posted a new world record in the W35 super heavyweight category at the IWF Masters that same year. For this performance, Hubbard was named the best lifter in the entire female competition, all ages and weight categories. Her lift total of 280 kilograms absolutely smashed her category competitors. It wouldn't have been out of place in the corresponding male category. In fact, Hubbard's 2017 lift was entirely routine over the 10 years of male competition, and a huge outlier in the female competition over the same 10 years. For those asking, this first incomplete part of the story shows how, controlled for age, Hubbard is lifting well outside the female range. The second part is, of course, that Hubbard has earned an Olympic spot despite her advanced age. The same writer of these tweets, who is also coincidentally a developmental biologist, also noted that at 43, the chances of a female appearing in super heavyweight Olympic weightlifting, 1 in 308,000. Hubbard is 3 times more likely to be struck by lightning than a 43-year-old female is to appear in this event.
Look at this. Look at this. It's kinda hard to read, but what I highlighted here is what they said it has to be 10, right? So I was like, how much is 10? Because if I go to the pages of men and women to see how many men and women produce, for men, it's like 280, right? And for women, it's like 15 minimum and 70 maximum. So that is the amount. So you can see the amount of testosterone that affects your bone density, heart size, and all these things are freaking different, right? Because that is the idea. The more testosterone you have, the more gangster you're gonna become. So I was like, why the heck are you guys talking about 10 millirem, something like that, but here you guys are talking about a different number like NGLDL. I'm like, dude, Why are you saying once? It's like you're comparing kilogram to meter or something like that. But I was like, no. I need to calculate this, right? So I found the site and I found out that if I put 10 here, gee, it's 288. And I was like, wait. Even if somebody is doing their test and stuff to lower the testosterone for the 12 months, so it's going to be fair. For 12 months, a guy lived for 40 years as a man. Well, not really. It was 30 something because then he started doing the test. But still, his bone density, everything changed. How he balanced his body, why they can easily run fast because the bone structure. All these things are really important for men. They have better gangster balancing. That is a fact. So now I can actually see that the amount of testosterone they are allowed to have in their body to participate is way above. So anyway, my point that I'm trying to say is even if you have 3, right, which brings you to 86, at least you're close to the 15 to the 70. Do you see what I'm saying? But no, nobody sees that. They're like, you know what, the federation have decided, bada bing, bada boom, but it's not fair. If I know somebody has a certain amount of testosterone and it is too much, I showed even a transgender friend how Fallon Fox was fighting another lady. And I told her, look how they are fighting. It doesn't make any sense. She says, yeah, but even if he beat her, it doesn't prove that she's stronger. I says, what do you mean? When the lady punches the transgender in her bone, she doesn't move back. The fact that she takes those hits like a boss, as if I can be hit in my bone and I'm gangster about it. Do you have any idea how strong your bone has to be? The fact that she doesn't even go backward proves to me that there's a difference. I want to be able to participate in a sport that if I accidentally hurt you, what usually doesn't happen with the same gender, which are born as the same gender, those accidents, the percentage that it might happen is super lower compared to a transgender. And you're going to be like, yeah, but that is freaking acceptable. The amount of people that are competing in any different sport, they're not winning, bada bing, bada boom. They go transgender, do whatever they have to do, psst, psst, and then they run another championship. And you're like, there's no clear advantages. What do you mean? The fact that they suddenly become champion for transitioning, that doesn't make any sense. Do you remember that rapper or whatever guy in UK, he's decided, you know what, I'm going to change my sex. And they were like, yes, of course. Go have your fun.
You identified as a woman for a brief period of time.
Yeah, 9 seconds.
To lift. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the world we live in.
Dude, that thing blew the internet up. It's crazy.
We were laughing.
Insane how far it went. Yeah.
P.S. I identify as a woman whilst lifting the weight. Don't be a bigot.
You know, I think when you...
I don't think there's anything wrong with transgender women competing, but I think they should compete against transgender women. Just like how we have men compete against men and we have women compete against women, let's have transgender women compete against transgender women. Let's not deny science and biology just to make people feel better and just to support some strange progressive ideology.
Yeah, I think if the goal is... That's why I think the goal is more about... It's more ideologically driven than I think it is actual inclusion driven.
Do you really think the fact that if he just do some hormone therapy or whatever, his testosterone will just go down and all the advantages that he had before is gone? All the muscle mass, everything like that? You think that a body doesn't have muscle memory? I think people don't even respect how effective a body can be depending on the situation.
So every day I'll go home, search up track and field high school, Terry Miller.
Because you wanted to know what people were saying.
Yeah.
Some of those comments were harsh. Critics complaining that Andrea and Terry both have an unfair advantage since they were born boys. The rule states that students are entitled to participate on a team based on their gender identity, how they identify.
The girls athletes are at the physical disadvantage compared to the transgender female.
Bianca Stanescu started one of those petitions after her daughter Selena lost to Andrea and Terry at a track meet in May.
Track is number 100 on my list of concerns as a father of a transgender daughter. I'm talking about raising a child for a life. And so is it fair that that child is excluded? Is it fair that that child doesn't feel like they have a place to belong?
It allows her to be who she wants to be, and I think that has a little bit more weight.
Dominating. So 2 decided to go, and 2 win the first and second. For the other people, they're like, well, 3rd place is the 1st place officially. There's 2 less chance to become 2nd or 1st. So they're like, why even try to compete? You're gonna count the amount of people that are gonna compete. I'm faster than you. Oh my god, there's like 3 more faster than me. Plus these black people. Oh my god, I'm never gonna win. So why even participate?
A 2019 paper called Trans Women in Elite Sport, Scientific and Ethical Considerations looked at the IOC guidelines and determined that they are exceedingly unfair to female athletes. The researchers explain many physiological differences between men and women. For example, they reference how women have a wider pelvis, which leads to decreased joint rotation and muscle recruitment and ultimately makes us slower. This study also explains how the IOC's and many trans advocates' assumption that hormone replacement for at least a year mitigates any advantage a biological male might have is mostly false. They explain that transgender athletes will retain at least some physiological parameters that underpin athletic performance. This, coupled with the fact that trans women athletes are allowed to compete with more than 5 times the testosterone level of a cis woman, suggests that trans women have a performance advantage. And this conclusion is more or less backed up by other research. For example, 2 more peer-reviewed papers on the matter mostly conclude the same thing. One says that even after changes to hormone levels in the body, findings suggest that strength may well be preserved in trans women during the first 3 years of hormone therapy. The other concludes that longitudinal studies examining the effects of testosterone suppression on muscle mass and strength in transgender women consistently show very modest changes, where the loss of lean body mass, muscle area, and strength typically amount to approximately 5% after 12 months of treatment. Thus, the muscular advantage enjoyed by transgender women is only minimally reduced when testosterone is suppressed.
So I had a very interesting talk with one of my non-binary friends, and she doesn't believe there's like a humongous advantage, and I do. It says if somebody suddenly changes something and they win, it's an advantage. And she's like, no, she's taking the therapy. I'm like, you want me to trust a hormone therapy by certain doctors where we both can check on the internet and find a humongous amount of time that people do something with medicine, but they don't tell the truth just because it might look morally wrong or whatever. She said, yeah, but nobody is complaining about that, so I don't think it should be a problem. And that's what bothered me, because I was like, I can't normally say this, Tom, especially during the Trump era, because everybody will call me freaking homophobic. That's the only reason I can talk about this right now.
Take, for example, Tracy Lambrecht, a super heavyweight competitor who, during the Commonwealth Games, was asked to make way for Hubbard. When I was told to drop the category because Laurel was obviously going to be their #1 super, it was heartbreaking, like super soul-destroying. Or for Geiger Stowers, a woman who began lifting to cope with surviving sexual abuse, who won a gold medal at the 2018 Commonwealth Games because Hubbard was ineligible to participate due to injury. Probably not surprising to too many people, but the following year, Hubbard beat Stowers at the Pacific Games, taking gold while she took silver. These few examples illustrate how quickly the issue of fairness becomes apparent due to the participation of a single biologically male athlete in a women's category. It's important to remember that female athletes testify that this male presence impacts them in many areas, such as anxiety surrounding why they should even bother, all the way up to the loss of a higher placement or achievement that they otherwise might have had. But let's consider our inability to even talk about this logically. Weightlifters have allegedly been told to keep quiet about Hubbard, for example, and have had to accept that there is nothing that they can do. So we take opportunities away from women, crush them at their own sports, and then deny them the ability to talk about it.
And actually, the Olympic Association and all these things, they send these people that are close to any transgender person, you're not allowed to talk about it. So the fact that she said to me, nobody is talking about it, so there's no problem. Then no, I'm not allowed to talk about it. So the fact that you say, well, nobody is complaining, so everything is Gucci, damn, you're the best dictator in the world. And the fact that you just say, the doctor said it's fair with these numbers, I just showed you. It's way above. And if you don't want to believe that, then okay. You do you, I do me. But I still believe what I want to believe. And if it hurts you, accept it. Just like it hurts me that you're beating ladies, and I accept it.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Buta fire na mi blonde kush hash purple skunk criollo colombici jam jam turloketa verdeta welcome.